The name's Bond. James Bond.
No. I am your
fathers, brothers, nephews.
Why so serious?
Cousin's former roommate.
I am vengeance. I am the night. I am.
Matt the Man here, and thanks for coming on our show. I got my co-host here, Zack and Zack. Zack, how you doing?
Doing good. You?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Another rainy day here in February.
Looking like it's going to be more of the same.
Yeah, it's more of the same, more of the, 2021. Let's see how it starts going. But anyway, we're here today not to talk about the weather. We're not meteorologists. At least not yet. Who knows? I might have to try a new career eventually. Not making money right now doing anything else. But, so we're here today. We're going to talk about a few topics here. One of them is more on the monster universe, not the Godzilla universe. I'm talking about like our classic monster movies like Dracula. Then we're going to be talking about Spider-Man and Tom Holland's interview that they had with him this week about, saying that this Spider-Man movie is going to be the most ambitious superhero film they've ever made. And that's in all, not just Marvel, like in all superhero films. But first, let's talk about this Dracula news. So, they just hired a director, Chloe Zhao. She just did the movie No Man Land. That's getting a lot of Oscar attention for Frances McDormand. And she also directed the Marvel film The Eternals. That was supposed to come out at the end of last year, but because of COVID, not coming out until the end of this year, like November 2021. So she has two movies lined up right now that's getting her acclaim or getting a lot of buzz. And now she's signed on to do a Dracula movie for Universal.
Yeah, with a Western sci-fi spin.
With a Western sci-fi, and it didn't say present, it just said sci-fi and Western. So is it going to be set in the past, like most Dracula movies are? Is it going to be present? Or is it going to be a future sci-fi Western?
Look, the last Western sci-fi thing that we kind of had, just counting, Cowboys and Aliens and all that stuff. But the movie that took sci-fi and Westerns and kind of melded it into one, technically was Star Wars. So, I say that we don't have another billion-dollar franchise on our hands. Not.
Well, the thing
is
going
to be closer to Cowboys and Aliens than anything else.
The thing that doesn't make that much sense to me is that, so this is Universal, but Universal has also has Blumhouse. They work with them. And Blumhouse has already come out, like last year, like almost a year ago, about a month or two after the Invisible Man movie they remade with Elizabeth Moss came out, which was a great updated version of the Invisible Man. If you haven't seen that movie, I highly recommend it. But they came out like a month or two later and said, yeah, we're moving forward with the Dracula movie. And they hired a director, Karen Kurosawa, who did like Jennifer's Body and a few other movies. So they're okay, they're building their monster universe. And last summer they announced that that the same director that did the Invisible Man is going to be coming on and doing The Wolfman starring Ryan Gosling. And that was going to have like a Nightcrawler vibe to it. The movie with Jake Gyllenhaal. So okay. So then when this news came out, I'm kind of scratching my head going, they already announced a Dracula movie. Same studio, Universal. So are they having two competing Dracula movies at the same time? Is this a whole nother universe? I don't know. It's kind of confusing. Or did the Dracula movie that they talked about a year ago isn't working out and they decided to go in a different direction? I don't know. Because it doesn't really think just that we hired a director and we have a Western sci-fi spin. So
yeah, there's kind of a lot to kind of unpack here. It's almost like how we were talking about last time with the Hercules and Hercules movie. It's like you're having, two movies of very similar stuff come out at the same time. The problem with this one is the same studio is doing it.
Yeah.
Supposedly. So the same studio is going to do Dracula 1 and Dracula 2.
I mean, Universal, they own the property, and yes, they've been teaming up with Blumhouse to make these movies like The Invisible Man and now their Wolfman movie and a supposed Dracula movie. But I don't get why Universal would be going and doing another one at the same time. That just doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, there could always be a thing where one is the Blumhouse one might be Dracula, the other one might be whatever. They're using Dracula and because they don't want to just say vampire or something. Who
Maybe.
knows?
And yeah, that could be just a regular vampire movie, but they need to put that name ahead of it just to get people to talk about it.
Right. If I'm going to make a vampire movie, I'm going to say Dracula. I'm not going to say Edward. Look, I want people to be thinking blood, all that other stuff, not sparkles.
Not sparkles? You don't like the sparkles?
No sparkles.
Okay. Here, let me ask you, Jack. Who would you want as Dracula?
Oh, that's hard.
Like, if you were going to pick an actor that has that, can bring that menace and that evilness, but also have that side to him that will draw people in.
I'm going to make a really easy choice. Adam Driver. It's like, so you're forsaking the pretty boy stuff. Sorry, Adam Driver's a good looking dude. He ain't pretty boy. He's not a Michael Fassbender, type of stuff. So
Funny enough, that's who I was going with.
right,
Michael Fassbender.
but he just the reason why we both said that if they remade Harry Potter, guess who Snape should be, or if they did a prequel, guess who Snape should be? Should be Adam Driver, hands down. Same reasons why I would pick him to be Dracula. He can be the dark, menacing type of stuff. He's done much better stuff than being evil as Kylo Ren in Star Wars, which we will not talk about. I feel as if he's a good actor, and he can do a lot other stuff.
He's a good actor, and he has that stature, and he's over 6 foot something. He can bring that, like, menace in terms of stature quality. I would rather go with Fassbender because he just has that. He's foreign, he has an accent already. We've seen him play evil, but also charismatic as Magneto. He's also done other stuff that showed his evil side, like in Prometheus. But he also showed that charismatic side too. And something about him, I just say, Dracula. Like, give me, and a little, he has that smartness, that evilness, but also that sexiness you need for Dracula.
Right, and that's kind of where we diverge in our picks, or also diverge in the type of movies that would be portrayed. Your type of movie with Michael Fassbender would require Fassbender to be the the smooth talking kind of gentleman, the person who the women, because that's who the targets are always. But it's just going like so that way he can seduce them, that stuff. The reason why I picked Adam Driver is like, nah, you make it that if sunlight even touches him, he's set on fire. You make him the dark, dreary, hair down in his face, hissing when sunlight comes, running away from the sunlight and all that stuff. The more monster and evil kind of based, unthinking vampire type of character is what I think that could be. Because he can emote with his own body and that stuff more than he can with dialogue.
Well, here's the funny part, and we're going to wrap this up real quick. But considering that Universal is making 2 Dracula movies, I might get my wish, and Zack might get his wish. Adam Driver might be cast in one of them, and Michael Fassbender might be in the other.
Yeah.
That would actually be kind of funny.
I would say that Adam Driver should definitely be in the Blumhouse one.
Yeah, well, what they did with The Invisible Man was very interesting, and that was more focused on the female character than the male, unlike the original. So it will be very interesting if they kind of go with that same arc or motive for future monster movies, like I said, the Wolfman movie. Is it going to be more focused on the Wolfman, or is it going to be focused on a female protagonist who's dealing with being sexually harassed and, meet the Me Too? Is that going to be brought into the Wolfman for the female character? And I don't know, but based on what I saw in The Invisible Man, and this is their projected art or projected theme of these new monster movies in an updated, world. We'll see. I can see a movie where Dracula isn't the main focus, and the female, maybe the three brides, Dracula's brides, are the focus of this evil man. That could be, and that's a horror. I mean, the guy has three wives.
Yeah.
That right there can be a little like, what the?
Yeah.
What's going on here? But anyway, that's it for now. Like I said, we don't have any more information besides a director and the spin or the take that they want to go in with a Western sci-fi angle.
Okay, I do have to say this. If it's Western and sci-fi, so you're telling me that we're going to get the League of Gentlemen 2, whatever that movie was.
The
League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Yeah, that's right.
I hope not. That movie ended Sean Connery's career. We didn't see any more Sean Connery's movies until his death last year. No more. We could have had, from 2003 to 2020, a lot more Sean Connery.
I still think he should have just appeared as like a cameo in a James Bond movie. That would have been really cool.
He wasn't even in any of the Austin Powers movies. That would have been fine.
Oh.
Just a cameo. And a little wink.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're not here to talk about James Bond or Sean Connery. We are here to talk
Yes,
about...
we can. We can talk about James Bond and Sean Connery.
We will do that whenever No Time to Die finally decides to come out. Which was supposed to be in April. Not anymore.
And then it gets delayed again.
October. So...
Daniel Craig is just sitting there just going like, come on, guys, let me out of my contract. I want to be done with this.
Daniel Craig was like, fine, I'll do one more. Postpone.
It's the movie that never ends. It goes on and on, my friends.
I just wanted to get out of this contract. I just want to die now. The title is No Time to Die. No one's time to die. It's time for me to be done playing James Bond. No more.
What if they have a scene like that in the movie where it's just where like whoever goes like, come on, Bond, it's no time to die, and he just goes like, nah, I'm cool with it. I'm cool with dying. Like, I've been through enough. Just take me out.
All right, I'll do it. I'll just do it. I've done enough of this.
Yeah.
I'm in 2006, so who knows when. We don't have a set date anymore. Anyway, guys, we're going to move on to our next topic here. Sadly, it's not James Bond. It's Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Does whatever a spider can.
Yes. So, our little boy, Tom Holland, he's growing up before our eyes. He came on and did an interview, I guess taking a break from filming or whatever, because they are still filming Spider-Man 3. For now, that's the title. The title Home, or the word Home, will be in there somewhere. I like Spider-Man Home Alone. That would be funny. Especially since it's set during Christmas time. I would love that.
Yeah, but if they do that, it needs to be a completely different type of movie. It just basically needs to be Tom Holland, not as Spider-Man, but just, MacGyvering ways to protect his home.
From the Sinister Six.
Right. Okay, you know how they did, like, a Christmas Deadpool movie? They need to do that, and then call it Spider-Man Home Alone, and basically have it be, like, a Christmas movie that's set, and all he does is he fights off the Sinister Six, and ways of kind of going on with that. And then you can, there's the perfect setup in there. There you go, Kevin Feige, Sony, whoever owns it right now.
Spider-Man.
Make all the money.
Spider-Man will be home for Christmas. So, anyway, let's get back on track. So Tom Holland came out this week and said his main quote was, "This Spider-Man film is the most ambitious superhero film ever done." Now, he didn't say this is the most ambitious Marvel film. He said this is the most ambitious superhero film. Now,
I think he just wrote he wrote a check that his ass won't be able to cash.
Probably. So, what do you think about that main sentence? Because we've been having a lot of comic book movies over the years We've seen a lot of stuff, not only the Marvel Universe, but the DC, but then even going back to, like, The Dark Knight, then going back to, like, the first X-Men, Unbreakable, I count that as a superhero film, even an original superhero film. And then you look at, like I said, the Avengers Infinity War, Endgame. This is going to be the most ambitious out of all, even more so than those.
Well, technically, yes, it can be, because just because you have ambition doesn't mean you actually succeed. So there's that. It might have all the ambition in the world, but fall flat on its face. So there's that. But I think if I want to give them the benefit of the doubt that their ambition will succeed, what I would say is that, we'll kind of talk about WandaVision in a second, but with the multiverse being kind of the next kind of theme of what they're going for in their next pile of movies, or the next little bit of what's going on, they could bring in a bunch of stuff. So if they've already if WandaVision sets up, the multiverse and that stuff, and then Spider-Man can do the Spider-Verse, but one of the other characters that Spider-Man hangs out a lot with would be Wolverine and, the Fantastic Four. So if you bring them into that, along with the Spider-Verse movie, so if you have Fantastic Four, Wolverine, and the Spider-Verse, that would set the bar for ambition, because it's just trying to do so much. The problem is, whenever you do so much, that's typically when bad things happen.
But not only that, but you also look at, like, Civil War, Captain America Civil War. That was pretty ambitious of a film.
Right.
You brought in Spider-Man, you introduced a new Spider-Man. You brought in Black Panther, you had our heroes fighting against one another, That was a pretty ambitious film. And that was technically just a Captain America film.
Right.
So, when Tom Holland says, oh, it's the most ambitious superhero film, some people say he's mainly talking about, as a singular superhero, rather than like a team-up movie, like an Avengers movie, which, yeah, those are ambitious. But I can say, like I said, Captain America, X-Men Days of Future Past. That was it. That was time travel. I mean, they brought in the new characters, like the McAvoys and the Jennifer Lawrence and the Fassbender. But then you brought in Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen, Halle Berry back, Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, combine them together. That was, I would almost say that has been one of the most ambitious films, even more so than maybe the Avengers recently. So, can we have that level of ambition?
Yeah, I mean, you can have a lot of ambition if you brought back, if you did a Spider-Verse film and you brought back Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, and then you brought back, villains from them. You already have two.
Well, I mean, yeah, and let's talk about that. So what we know so far, we have Jamie Foxx returning as Electro from The Amazing Spider-Man 2, which was in Andrew Garfield's universe.
Yep.
And we have Alfred Molina, who played Dr. Octavius, Doc Ock, coming back from the Tobey Maguire universe. Those are the main confirmed people. There have been rumors of Tobey Maguire coming back, and Andrew Garfield returning, and Kirsten Dunst, and Emma Stone. But those are still rumors. But let's say they do come back. They all come back. And there's also been a rumor this week that William Dafoe has been shown on set back as the Green Goblin. Now, when we say that's ambitious, because once again, don't forget, we've already had a Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, animated film, came out 2 years ago. That did open up the multiverse and showed other Spider-Men coming in and other villains. So, what do you think? Well, we already had it in an animated form, so what are you going to do differently in the live action?
Well, the problem that kind of comes to there is that if we actually include animated movies into our talk of most ambitious stuff, that means no live action movie can be ambitious anymore because animated movies have already done it. Flashpoint, just to bring DC into the mix. Flashpoint, all the big kind of tent poles of DC and all their like big epic stuff, they've all been done in animated stuff. So, it's all been done, quote unquote, before. So it's ambitious for live action. It could be, bringing in the history, because animated movies and live action movies also kind of have their own life in them. Because, when you're talking about all this other stuff, it's not like, maybe they might bring in, Miles Morales from Into the Spider-Verse. They might bring that in somehow for like a cameo into the live action Spider-Man. But you generally think of animation and live action completely separate from each other. So, and in ambition, I don't know. I would say that for live action, if they bring in, in order to be ambitious, let me actually get this right in my words, it will not be ambitious if Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire don't come back. Hands down, it can't. It can't. I'm sorry, but that's the point. You've already brought back 2 villains from each of those universes. Why are you not bringing back the heroes? And if that's a limit on the fact of, they're too busy doing their other movies and that stuff, it's Disney. Throw enough money at the problem and you can fix anything. That's Disney's MO. And if they didn't, that means it's not. Because they didn't want to risk the money and throw the money at the problem to get it fixed. So, then it can't be the most ambitious. I know it sounds like splitting hairs, but this is a big statement that he made. If Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire are not back, then, sorry, it's not ambitious enough.
Not even with Jamie Foxx and Alfred Molina?
Absolutely not. Because they're the characters. Like, they're the villains. They were only in one of those movies. They weren't the people in every single one of them. It makes no sense for us to talk about the most ambitious superhero film unless you're actually trying to do something ambitious. Bringing someone back as there doesn't sound ambitious. That's not ambitious to me. And, like, the only thing that you could say is if you were trying to set up, like, this is, somehow a villain in the Marvel Cinematic Universe then said, I'm going to open up wormholes and I'm going to pull Doc Ock from the Sam Raimi verse. I'm going to pull Electro from the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man stuff and then do something like that. It's like, okay, that's not ambitious. That's a generic plot from someone else that you just happen to use, characters from other stuff for. You're making it bigger because it's a movie. You're not making it bigger plot-wise.
Let me also bring up, and this will be a minor spoiler, if you have not seen Far From Home. But in Far From Home, the very end post-credit scene, J. Jonah Jameson comes on the screen in the middle of New York City, big screen that they have, and J.K. Simmons is back as J. Jonah Jameson in the Holland universe, but is most recognized from the Maguire universe. So, we already had a little hint, a little sprinkle of, wait a minute, what's going on here? You have an actor from another universe coming into this universe. So haven't they already started their ambitious path, in a way? Because you already brought back an actor from the Maguire universe.
Yeah, but that means nothing. Like, let's be honest, actors return to franchises that they've done before to play a role again.
So, anyway, we'll see what happens. The funny part is, if everything was normal, this movie would have already had a trailer out by now. We would probably even be getting the second trailer, or the official trailer, during the Super Bowl tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
We probably would have got the teaser back in December. If you go by the marketing that they had for Homecoming and Far From Home, we would have probably got another trailer this weekend. And we would have probably got more confirmation on the story. Probably saw Jamie Foxx, Alfred Molina, and maybe the ending of the trailer would have shown, You know, you would have thought it was Tom Holland with the Spider-Man suit on. They would have pulled the mask off, and it would have been Tobey Maguire or Andrew Garfield.
Right.
And that would have been the ending of the trailer. Like, coming soon. And it would have been like,
Right,
yeah.
and that's the one thing is, like, when you think about that, just think about that scene when you have 3 Spider-Men next to each other, and they do that meme where they're all pointing at each other, and then they like, all like rip their hand, like the masks off, and just go like, "Who are you?" And just going like, "I'm Spider-Man." It's like, "No, I'm Spider-Man." And they're just going, they just do that around, and then finally someone was like, "Okay, what's your real name?" Peter Parker, and he's like, "No, I'm Peter Parker," because then they get to do it twice, and of course, if there's a joke, do it again, and then run it into the ground. So, legitimately, that should be a scene in a Spider-Verse movie, is where everyone just goes like, "I'm Peter Parker." "No, I'm Peter Parker." After they've already done that, saying that they're Spider-Man. And that would be ambitious there. If you actually get the people who are the titular characters to come back, to be there, to do everything, then yeah, that works.
What about, let me just ask real quick before we end it here. What about, like, the minor characters, like when they say they're going to bring back Kirsten Dunst and Emma Stone? Do you care? Do you want to see them back? Because technically, Emma Stone died in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. So, what would her role be if she is back?
I mean, you bring them back as those characters because think about it this way. It doesn't really matter in the long run. It doesn't, because the biggest thing about this is that they are the sprinkles on the donut. They're not the donut. Like the donut, what you want, that Krispy Kreme hot sign just came on donut is all 3 Spider-Man all together. The sprinkles on top of it are just, whatever it is. But it's just like, my eating metaphor aside, they are accents onto the story. They are not the story itself, unless you write the story around somehow all the love interests came together and all that.
Well,
but that's not ambitious.
You see, I don't mind them coming back. Like, obviously with Kirsten Dunst and Mary Jane, I want to see after Spider-Man 3 with Tobey Maguire, I do want to see where their relationship is at now. I mean, obviously in the comics, Peter and Mary Jane do get married. And that was hinted at in Spider-Man 3. He was going to propose, and that didn't go the way he planned. So I want to see, are Mary Jane and Peter married now? I mean, that was the original idea for Spider-Man 4. That never got made, and they rebooted it with The Amazing Spider-Man. So this is their opportunity to say, this is where Tobey Maguire and Kirsten Dunst's Peter and MJ are now.
Right, and I think that's good, and that is how you build up this ambitiousness for that, but that ambitiousness means nothing unless you have Tobey and Andrew.
And then with Emma Stone, the one great thing about the Amazing Spider-Man films was Emma Stone's Gwen Stacy.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And so my question would be, so if you do bring her back, even though she died in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, is this where you're going to say, with MJ, she's going to be married to Peter, we're going to see that happy ending, whatever. But with Emma Stone, she's not going to come back as just the girlfriend. She's going to be Spider-Gwen. From another universe.
That would actually be a lot. That would be pretty cool. Like, honestly, Emma Stone as Spider-Gwen, that would be super cool. And that would help it. That would help. Now, that would immediately add into the ambitious part. I would be 100% down for that. What I think that they'll probably end up doing is if they do bring back Garfield and Emma Stone, and she is Emma from Garfield's universe, they'll probably, just to make things simpler, they'll probably have the time hole rift happen during the Electro fight before she dies. And then that's what it'll be. Like, a giant wormhole will open, both of them, somehow, all 3 will get through the wormhole, and then, during the fight, and then Tom Holland will show up in a Spider-Man costume. He's like, what's going on? I'm fighting you, and there's another Spider-Man here, and I don't know what's going on. I would assume that would be how they would introduce that.
Maybe. I mean, I could, like I said, I could see them opening up another wormhole or universe, and you see Emma Stone come through, and she's wearing the Spider-Gwen outfit. She takes off the mask, and there she is. And you go, oh. And Andrew Garfield is there. He looks at her, but she's like, I don't know you.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing about what I would want is I really liked the dynamic between Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone.
Because you can be like in the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, that Gwen said, no, my Peter died in my universe.
Mm-hmm.
So Andrew can be like, well, you died in my universe, and she can be like, well, you died in my universe. So
yeah, I think we always know that Gwen Stacy is gonna die. That's like other than in Spider-Gwen or in the the Tobey Maguire trilogy. She dies. That's her big thing. She dies.
They should have never had her in the Spider-Man Tobey Maguire trilogy.
Right, but so for me, it's always a thing of like, okay, well, the Amazing Spider-Man series was all about that whole thing.
That relationship.
That's the relationship that was the crux of it. And realistically, I liked that better than I did the Tobey Maguire.
I agree with you on that. I like the relationship of Emma Stone and Andrew Garfield's Peter and Gwen more so than the Tobey and Kirsten Peter and MJ relationship. And that was the one weakness of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy was, yeah, the first one they worked out pretty good together, but after that it was like, alright, they're just doing it because they have to, not because there's really that chemistry there.
Yeah, I think
but Emma and Andrew were in a relationship, and you really saw that chemistry.
Yeah, and I think one of the bigger things for the story is that also, how they portrayed Spider-Man and Peter Parker in the two as Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. He was portrayed as smart in both. Mm-hmm. Tobey Maguire was a dork. Like, he was everything. He had all the bad stereotypes of a nerd. And that's what he was. You're smart, but you can't amount to anything. You can't talk to people. You're socially awkward and all this other stuff. There was no upside to him other than him being Spider-Man. Andrew Garfield, he was a competent human being. Like, he could go around. He was smart and a nerd, but he wasn't, like, a dork. He was actually a competent person outside of it. So it's like, he was actually succeeding, and that's the whole thing about Peter Parker is that is Peter Parker succeeds as Spider-Man and also as himself. It's not something where it's kind of like Batman, where Batman succeeds, but Bruce Wayne is kind of just there. Bruce Wayne as a character, he never got over the fact that his parents were killed, and he never emotionally kind of goes on from that. Only Batman does. Only Batman has kind of the emotional arcs. Bruce Wayne is just there as a mask, really, to put on for that. So that's why I really like the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man and the relationship with Gwen. And that's the relationship that I would put over that.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Like I said, we'll see what happens. I mean, we were supposed to get maybe a teaser at the end of last year, but that never happened, so... I think they're not going to confirm anything like Tobey or Andrew until maybe a trailer. And maybe not even then. They might really want to be like, depending on how much they're actually in the movie, they might be like, we're going to hold off. Let you think, let you speculate, let you ponder, let you dream in your head if they're coming back or not. But until you see the movie, you're not going to know. I mean, I actually wouldn't mind that either. Because I think if you show it in the trailer, you're like, they're going to be happy, but then they're going to be like, when the movie comes out, they're going to be like, oh, we already know. We already see him.
Yeah, but I would say this. If the ambitiousness is coming from the fact that we're having all three Spider-Men back together on the same screen, it better not just be cameos. Like, they basically need to be, like, the three, like, if you're going to have the movie poster, it needs to be, like, all three of them on that poster. all in 3 different Spider-Man suits. Because, I'm sorry, you get back to this comment that's made, and it's going like, you wrote the check, now cash it, and I don't think you will.
Alright, we're gonna jump right into WandaVision, the show on Disney Plus. The first Marvel show post-Endgame. Technically, starting Phase 4. That was supposed to be Black Widow, but due to COVID circumstances, we don't even know if we're going to be getting Black Widow this year. That might end up on Disney Plus.
Yeah, 2020 is still bleeding into 2021.
So WandaVision. So we're 5 episodes. Oh, and before I get into Wanda, we will be spoiling stuff for the first 5 episodes. So if you have not watched WandaVision, up to episode 5, that premiered yesterday, please get off.
Yeah, pause this, go watch those episodes, then come back so you can join us in on this conversation.
I do not want to get a message on
I
Facebook.
have feelings about this.
I do not want to get a message on Facebook or on YouTube or whatever in the comments saying, you spoiled WandaVision. I'm going to say, well, I told you not to watch it if you haven't gotten through episode 5. And I mean episode 5. We're going to spoil stuff in episode 5.
Yeah, unless you've finished watching the end credits of episode 5, you're going to be spoiled.
So, okay, Wanda. So, Zack, let me start with you. What do you think about Wanda?
Okay, well, here, let's start this off real quick. We promised at the end of episode 1 that we were going to talk about WandaVision's the first 2 episodes. I nixed that in the bud real quick because guess what? The first 2 episodes of WandaVision were terrible. Absolutely terrible, in my opinion. Even now, everyone's saying like, oh, the first episodes of WandaVision make so much more sense now and all this other stuff, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, they don't. Like, you gave a reason for your cruddy episodes, but that doesn't make the cruddy episodes good. Hands down, not a fan. Now, in episode 3, it was slightly getting better because it looked like there was a plot in there, but it still wasn't. Episode 4 is actually good. And that's where we start the stuff. Episode 5 was really good. Here's the problem. In WandaVision, the TV series, it's really bad when you have a TV series and I don't care about the characters who are in the title. I don't care about Wanda. I don't care about Vision. Ironically enough, the characters that I care most about, Rambo, Jimmy, and Darcy. That's it. I don't care about any other characters.
He loves all racist people. All racist. He's a lover of. So, anyway. So you don't like the sitcom aspect.
No, I hate it. It's terrible.
You see,
it's not the good sitcom moments either.
I like it. I enjoyed it. I'm not going to say it was great. I enjoyed that Marvel wanted to go start out in a different direction. I enjoyed
there were better characters to do that with.
The more fun and playful aspect. It reminded me of, like I said, I Love Lucy, Bewitched back in the day, especially in those first 2 episodes. It had that vibe to it. And then we get in the 3rd episode, it definitely had a more Brady Bunch aspect to it. And now we're in the more late 80s. Now in the last episode, episode 5, gave me more of a Full House, Growing Pains feel to it. Not because there's an Olsen in the show, and Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen were in Full House. But even then, I was more of a fan of Growing Pains growing up, and I was like, yeah, this feels like Growing Pains. Just the family dynamic and the, bringing up a theme to teach the kids. It just worked for me. So I don't mind the sitcom stuff, especially now that we're in episode 4 and 5, where now we are going back and forth between the sitcom stuff and the present day outside the bubble that they're in. It now is adding a more interesting dynamic to the show. And yeah, I've heard people say, I don't think they should have started with the present outside the bubble and then go into the sitcom stuff. But I like the slow burn. the slow, this is how we're going to start, and then we're going to start giving you little nuggets. Like the little commercials. At first you're like, what do these mean? I don't get it. And now you go and you go, oh. Like the last one there with the logos. Like, when you accidentally make a mess, you gotta clean it up. And that was referencing back to Wanda during the beginning of Civil War, when she was trying to help the people and kill Crossbones, but instead she lifted him up and he exploded and blew up the building with all those innocent people in there. So she, accidentally caused the mess and is being blamed, which started the Sokovia Accords in the first place. So, and then the first one with the toaster oven, where you hear the noise and you're like, why is it a toaster doesn't make that noise? Well, that was the noise of the bomb that went off that killed her parents. And that was a bomb made by Tony Stark's company. So you start to see the trauma folded into these commercials that you go, that's a creative way. And it's not too on the nose. I mean, you gotta be like, why? Why are they doing this? And then you start putting the pieces together, and you're like, okay. And it definitely is, the sitcom stuff is interesting because to me, it's like, now people say, well, she's probably like in her 30s. She would have never been around to watch I Love Lucy or Bewitched. But, you go on like Turner Classic Television, she could have been like one of those kids like one of us, watching those old classics. And those were happier days. Those were the happy days with the mommy and the daddy and Pedro, the twin brother.
Yeah.
Who was also not alive anymore. So it's like, yeah, I'm gonna create my own little sitcom world in this little bubble, almost like Pleasantville meets the Truman Show, and that's what we're gonna do.
Yeah, I can understand that, and that's a good way to retrospectively look at this into what's going on. I would also say doesn't work, because here's the bigger problem with that, is that you watch those episodes, and even now, they haven't given the point. What's the damn point? There is no point to this, other than the fact of, she just wants to be left alone and she wants to live an idyllic life. Okay, guess what? You don't get that in the first episode. So you're sitting there going like, so we're in some sitcom, something's happening, because this isn't just there is something bigger. It's not just they're living here and this is happening. This is how, as the director of the episode or of the series, wanted to portray their lives together. It's not like how that was. It's not like they did it in that way. It's like, this is deliberate. This is a metaphor for however something is going in her past or trauma or life. But the problem is that we still haven't, even in this episode, we still haven't gotten the damn point. And that's the biggest thing as to why, as a series, this fails. The point. Why have we not gotten in here? We are 5 episodes in. Guess what? 5 minutes into The Mandalorian, you knew the point. 5 episodes into all this, we still don't get the point of what's happening. So guess what? As a series, it fails. We were talking about this before we actually recorded the podcast. I could actually be okay with this if this was episode 3 and not episode 5. If this was episode 3, I could do that. If you smushed, episodes 1 and 2 together, maybe smush 3 and 4 together, and then have 5 be the new episode 3, I could be okay with that. That would actually make sense, because you didn't waste my time. Episodes 1 and 2 wasted my time.
Well, you see, I would argue that, because I feel like, since the first 2 episodes weren't, they were fine for what they were, them being only 20 minutes each, you had that opportunity to watch it, get in, get out. If you combine the first 2 episodes, you would then be talking about almost an hour, and in that first hour, if you're not into it at all, you're not going to ever want to come back. At least with the 20 minutes, you know, you can be like, okay, that was 20 minutes. It left you wanting something because of the last end scene. I'll check back in a week when it comes back on Friday, next Friday, and see where we go from there.
That would make sense if this was like a Netflix series where they dropped the entire season in one go.
You see, I actually do not. This is the one time I actually think them not dropping the entire season at once is a very good thing. Good. Because I feel like because like I said, what I've been doing, at least for me, what I've been doing, and I know a lot of other people that I've talked to about the show, we're theorizing every week what's going to happen next. Who, you know, especially now at the end of episode 5, you know, it's like, what does this mean? Why is Evan Peters, who was Quicksilver in the X-Men universe, the recent, you know, he was introduced in Days of Future Past, and then he was in Apocalypse and Dark Phoenix. Why is he here? Why didn't she bring back Aaron Taylor Johnson's Quicksilver? And now we're going to be theorizing for the next week. What does this mean? Are we introducing the X-Men now? Is this some manifestation? Or is there someone else behind the curtain doing this to bring him in? Is he just a regular person that happens to look like her brother? Or kind of a look-alike of her brother? You know, we're going to be theorizing all week now. What does this mean for the bigger MCU?
Yeah, but there's a problem with that. You said that we're going to be theorizing all week. You might. I won't. Like, absolutely. My theorizing will end as soon as this podcast ends, and I won't think about WandaVision until next Friday.
Until I make you watch it.
Yeah, until basically we come back and say, oh, you should really watch episode 6. And they're like, okay, I guess I'll watch it. Like, because here's the problem. Episodes 1 and 2 did so much damage to the fact of me caring about this. If episode 1 was 20 minutes long and they smushed all the good parts from episodes 1 and 2 into that 1 20-minute episode, and you took out all the stupid stuff, like, I'm sorry, I do not care about the dinner scene in episode 1. That was pointless to me. I didn't care about the magic scene in episode 2. I don't care how many Easter eggs you throw at it or whatever else. I don't care. Move on with life, as far as I'm concerned. Get to the actual point of whatever this is. That's the one thing as to how I feel as if they're losing the people like me who are this. And I might be in the minority. I'm perfectly okay with that. My thoughts are my thoughts. I don't expect anyone else to basically come up and say, yeah, I agree with you. You have your own thoughts of whatever this is. That's what makes life brilliant, is that we can all watch the exact same thing and come out with 20 billion different thoughts on it.
I mean, just like Game of Thrones.
Right. So, but looking at all of this stuff, I would have much preferred the part in episode 4 where you have all the stuff about Rambo and all that other stuff, and kind of, we're sending you to this one place. Then they come up, and they show all the stuff with Jimmy, and then all of a sudden she puts her hand on the thing, and then she gets drawn in, and then you start episode 1. I think that would have been great. You merge episodes 1, 2, and 3, and kind of that. You put her as the person going through all that stuff. Give me 20 minutes of that, or 30 minutes of that, or 2 episodes of her, like, you show the thing where she's going like, she's trying to figure out what's going on because this is not real, but she's kind of being forced to still act like this. That would be 20 million times better than just random here's Wanda and Vision doing sitcom fun stuff that doesn't matter in the end and never matters because all it is slight little Easter eggs or hints at what could possibly be. That's nothing. You want to know what we call that in anime? It's called filler. Means it doesn't matter. You can literally skip it and you won't lose anything. I would legitimately say, Mom, Dad, just watch episode 3, 4, and 5. Don't even watch episodes 1 and 2. You're not missing anything. You won't. Because the only hints that you saw there was the helicopter and the beekeeper out of the sewer. Those are your 2 hints. The commercials were good. Those kind of showed in that stuff. I would be okay with that. Smush the good parts of all that stuff in, intersperse that with the commercials, maybe do 2 per episode or something like that. But it's like, I don't care about the rest. You lost me as someone who saw all of the movies up to now. You know, it's like, I bought Disney Plus. I have all this stuff. I physically am paying for Disney Plus for my entire family, who they mooch off of me. And then, so this is like, I'm your target audience. I might not be whatever this demographic it was, but the target audience of, you've watched all this stuff up to here, and we're doing this to try and keep you to continue on to the next phase of Marvel and all this stuff. That's who they want. They want the people to bring in this stuff. You're the person who's never seen any of the Marvel stuff and doesn't know who Wanda or Vision are, is not going to pick up this stuff and go like, okay, this is what it is. No, it's not going to make sense to them at all. It'll make even less sense. They'll go like, oh, these are two sitcom characters, and that's all this stuff, and they're spoofing sitcoms and all this stuff. And then when the superhero elements get brought in, they'll go like, what just happened to my sitcom? See, they're not the target audience for what's supposed to be happening. So the biggest thing that I feel right now is just that the timing and pacing of this entire series is out of whack, and it ruined it. Like, I'll care maybe about some moments throughout this stuff. The interactions between Darcy and Jimmy are legitimately the only thing that is would keep me to watch it, because their interactions are great. They're the best character work out of the entire series. I'm sorry, I don't care. You never had the investment into what they're actively doing. The only scene that I really cared about Wanda and Vision in is when she turns around and Vision is dead. Like, they showed that his head is like cratered in and all that stuff, and they showed that stuff. That was a great scene, and I wanted more of that. But then they didn't. They immediately went away from it. They went to do other things, and I'm sorry, I don't care.
Alright then. So let me ask, I enjoy it so far. I'm interested to see where they go in the last 4 episodes. Well, let me ask, there's been talk by both Olsen and Bettany about a character is going to show up at the end of the season, a legacy character. And Paul Bettany has said, this is the one actor I've been wanting to work with in my entire career, and now I get the opportunity to work with this said actor. Who do you think is going to be this character?
Well, there's a lot that it could be, but you had a great kind of breaking down of what everything was. So I want you to break it down for everyone else, and then I can give who I think it should be.
Well, obviously, if Evan Peters' Quicksilver from the original X-Men films is in this timeline now, that could mean it could be Magneto. Now, I think it would be more Ian McKellen than Michael Fassbender, because even though Ian McKellen has already worked with Paul Bettany, I kind of rule him out, though. Because Bettany said, an actor I've never worked with before. Well, you did the Da Vinci Code with Ian McKellen.
Which was a terrible movie, by the way.
Moving on. So that kind of throws him out the door. Then you got Patrick Stewart as Xavier. Now that would, and Olsen's the one that said, this is like Luke Skywalker in the Mandalorian type of high bar in terms of the actor and the character. So I'm thinking, well, if it's a Luke Skywalker type of moment, like in the Mandalorian, Patrick Stewart could be that guy. He's been around since the first X-Men 21 years ago. He's been playing Professor X for most of the movies in some shape or form. Even though he did die in Logan, again, like in X-Men The Last Stand, they have brought him back. So, but I said he might not even be. And the reason why I said he might not be is, he's in his 80s. If you're going to bring back Patrick Stewart as Xavier, you're most likely going to sign him on for more than one little guest appearance. You're going to sign him on for multiple films. Especially if the Marvel is starting to ramp up their X-Men franchise in the next year or two. You're going to want an actor to be in multiple films. Especially Professor Xavier. He's the main honcho in X-Men. So I kind of rule him out too. Yeah, then you can say, well, you got McAvoy and Fassbender. Yeah, but they are not actors, I would say, like, career-wise, this long career. I mean, Fassbender's been around for only 10 years. That's not long. McAvoy, okay, you want to go back to Narnia, 2005, the first Narnia, Mr. Tumnus, that was him. That was his first movie. Okay, so what, 15 and a half years ago? I don't really consider him a long career actor.
That Paul Bettany really would have wanted to work with. It was like,
and I don't even know, maybe Paul Bettany has worked with McAvoy at one point. I don't know, I gotta go back in there in a little timeline of films and see which one they might have, if they have done a movie together. So then you go, okay, in the X-Men franchise, Hugh Jackman, Wolverine, he said he's always wanted to work in the MCU, being in an Avengers movie. Could they bring back Hugh Jackman? Could you see Hugh Jackman? And in terms of a legacy character on the level of a Luke Skywalker, Hugh Jackman fits that bill. Like, he's been around for 21 years. He's done more X-Men related movies than anybody else in the X-Men franchise. I mean, he has 3 solo films and all the team-up movies and
the rebooted movies.
Yeah, and he's also starred in almost every... In the X-Men movies he was in, he was the star.
Yes.
Other than for Apocalypse, where he had that one scene that didn't even need to be in the movie, and that cameo in First Class. Great cameo at the bar, when he tells McAvoy and Fassbender to F off. Great moment. But other than that, he's been the star. So yeah, he could be that Luke Skywalker, cameo or scene stealer. But then you go, okay, what are you going to do with him now?
Yeah, why?
Why? Once again, you killed him off in Logan. I mean, so you're going to bring him back too? Now that opens up a whole wide of things because we just talked about Spider-Man. They bring him back Doc Ock, bring him back Electro, Jamie Foxx. Well, Alfred Molina died in Spider-Man 2. So, who knows?
Resurrecting the dead isn't really a problem that we have right now.
No, well, Vision's back.
Yeah.
So do you think Hugh Jackman is a possibility?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. They said that this is going to be a reveal of some Luke Skywalker quality, which I understand why they said it, because that's the biggest thing. Mandalorian had the biggest kind of reveal at the ends in recent memory of stuff. So I kind of understand why they made that, especially since they're also Disney Plus thing. The problem is nope. Sorry. They're legitimately, unless it's the 3 you mentioned, Professor X is Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen is Magneto, or Hugh Jackman is Wolverine. There is no one that you can possibly do that's going to have that, oh my god moment. And here's the problem.
James Marsden's back as Cyclops.
Oh, yeah.
Finally gets his moment. All these years. A wasted character in the X-Men movie finally has a moment.
Yeah, it's James Marsden, everyone. James Marsden, everyone. Yay!
Vision. Die.
No, but realistically, it's that's all you got. So what? What? Cap? No. We just saw him. And there. Robert Downey Jr.?
Well, wait a minute. Let's go back to Cap for a moment. Couldn't we see Chris Evans back? Because we did find out a couple weeks ago he's returning to the MCU. But they didn't say what project, or if he's coming back as even Captain America. So Zack, why would you bring back Chris Evans if you're opening up the multiverse? Who was Chris Evans before Cap?
Oh, well, Johnny Storm.
Johnny Storm of the Fantastic Four.
Oh yeah,
Johnny boy, all fired up. I would love to see Chris Evans show up as Johnny Storm and Wanda be like, WTF?
Yeah, I think the entire world would be WTF at that point. But no, I like when you're looking at this stuff, it could be, just like how we talked about with Tom Holland. You wrote a check that you can't cash. So there could be something like that. I would love for there to be a twist kind of coming in for this. And, what I think will actually happen is that you potentially have, like, a rebooted Professor X. Because for Professor X to get that type of feel, all you need is an actor in a wheelchair with a bald head. Congratulations. There you can go. And you put Hugh Jackman behind him, like standing behind him or something, then boom, you kind of get your thing. Because then you have the wise Wolverine there. He's there with Professor X, with our new recasted Professor X. And boom, you're done. That's how you can get there.
Well, let's talk about... So we mentioned in our Spider-Man talk moments ago that Wanda is basically part 1 of a 3-part story. Part 2 is going to be Spider-Man 3. And we just talked about them opening up the multiverse. Maybe we'll see Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. So, Zack, could this legacy character, could he actually be Tobey Maguire? A lot of the people have grown up watching the 3 Spider-Man films with Tobey. He's, as of right now, the only actor who has played Spider-Man 3 times.
True.
So, could he be? And considering that is the next movie in this trilogy, if you will. So we see Tobey Maguire back.
Yeah, I guess the whole thing about where this is that we have to change locations. We have to move on from there. So this has to, if we want to bring in a Spider-Man and do that tease, you have to move to New York. You have to, which they're in New Jersey, so hop, skip, and a jump. They're right there. But, you have to, right now, everything that's happening.
That is a good point. They're in New Jersey.
Yeah.
So that is more of a possibility, actually, than the X-Men.
True.
So.
But, the biggest thing is that you have to get there. And right now, the entire movie, or sorry, I say movie just because MCU, but the entire series up to this point has all been, other than the scene in the hospital with Rambo and the scene at Sword in the last episode, it has been in that one taken care of. In the house, mainly. And just outside of it. So it's like the scope of the series. I don't see the scope of the series going until I expect this series to end with the barrier being broken. I don't expect them to be going somewhere else in this series. How this series will end, it's going to end in that city.
So, alright, so we said, once again, let's break it down. So we said Ian McKellen as Magneto. We said Professor Xavier, probably Stewart. Now we said Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man. We said Hugh Jackman as Wolverine.
Yeah, and Chris Evans is Johnny Blaze.
Johnny Storm.
Oh, yeah. I'm mixing them up. I'm combining characters.
So, now, in the last episode, our friend Monica Rambeau mentioned an astrophysicist that she knows.
Oh, yeah. I just happen to know this person.
Yeah, I just happen to know this person. Do you think that was relevant?
I'm thinking one of two things. Either A, they're going to make up something and whoever had the old drone or whatever, and that's where that came from. Because how did they get the drone? Because that's the context that it was kind of brought up around. Is we have to get something from the 80s into there. And that's kind of the context it was brought up around. So it could have been a throwaway line of a hint at a possible character, which we'll talk about in a second.
Now I bring this up, Zach, because, Marvel is known for doing this. Dropping characters' names. What was it? The Winter Soldier. Captain America, the Winter Soldier. That scene when they're on top of the building. And the Hydra guy says, You know, they're asking, what was it, Black Widow and Cap are asking the guy, you know, how are you finding these people? You know, he's like, we have an algorithm, and we're finding, you know, they name dropped a few people, and they named Stephen Strange.
Right.
And now this was almost 3 years before the Doctor Strange movie came out. Now, in this scene in WandaVision, they don't drop a name. They just drop what the person does, what they do for a living. They're not what their background.
Mm-hmm.
They're an astrophysicist. Now, when I hear that we're gonna have a Luke Skywalker type of moment, we're gonna bring in a legacy character. Now, they didn't specify in the movies. They said a legacy character. Now, in the Marvel universe, you know, Marvel, what other legacy character is there besides the ones we've already seen, like Spider-Man, you know, Captain America, Hulk, Iron Man, Thor? Who else is out there?
I don't know. I think there's some family
A family
out there.
There's a family. You mean the Incredibles?
Oh, well, yeah, that could work. You know, Mr. Incredible.
Mr. Incredible.
Mrs. Incredible.
Mrs. Incredible. Jack.
Yeah. We're all talking about Jack.
Yeah. Well, this is all about Jack.
Yep.
Jack is going to be the main one. Pixar and Marvel are going to connect together. You're going to see Woody.
I would actually be down for
You're
that.
going to see Woody walking by the screen.
I'd be down for that too.
But you said a family, though. Now,
Could it be a family of 4?
4. Now, Zack, interesting you bring this up. Back in December, Disney had their little shareholders meeting. And when did Kevin Feige drop during that shareholders meeting?
Oh, didn't they say something was in the works with a certain family?
Fantastic Four family?
Oh yeah.
They brought in...
They exist.
They exist. Wow.
I know, we're so used to just terrible movies about them, so, you know.
You know, they've done 4. Maybe. They've done 3. No, yeah, they've done... Well, you know, if you count the sequel to the 2000 one, this has been 4 so far. It will be on number 5. But if you just go by the start and stop, this will be number 4. Maybe 4 for 4 will work. So, going back, so Disney announced, we are moving forward with Fantastic Four. And we have a director, John Watts, the director of the last 2 Spider-Man films, and currently filming the new Spider-Man film. Coincidence? I don't think so. So, Zachary, who could show up in this show?
Well, I guess it would obviously be Mr. Fantastic.
Reed Richards?
Oh.
But who would play him?
Oh, there's a ton of people. Why not get the original actor? I just almost gave Matt a heart attack right there. Everyone, you can't see it, but you should know. Matt just grabbed his heart as if I just killed him. Oh no. How about let's think about this. I'm thinking of a guy. Let me see I'll drop you hints of who this guy can be.
A guy, wow.
He used to work in an office.
Oh.
He spent a lot of time talking to a camera.
Oh.
He likes it quiet.
Oh.
And then, sometimes he likes, running around with a gun.
Sometimes he goes by Jack.
Yeah.
Who is this guy?
Oh, who's it, Matt? Guess.
John Krasinski. Johnny Boy. Not that Johnny Boy, the other Johnny Boy.
Oh, here's Johnny.
Here's Johnny. John Krasinski. I bet you...
As Johnny Storm.
No. That would be Chris Evans returning. Now that would be a twist. That would be... John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic, Johnny Storm, Chris Evans.
That would be pretty funny.
And we bring back Kate Mara from the recent Fantastic Four as Sue Storm. We have all three. One big happy family. No, I think John Krasinski is the secret character. They're already, for them to announce in December, a month before the show began, oh, we're moving forward with the Fantastic Four movie. And we already have a director, same director that's doing the Spider-Man films. And that Spider-Man film might open up the multiverse. Okay, now you got my attention. So how much do you want to make a bet it's going to be John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic? And do you think he'll be in the suit?
No to the suit. No to the suit. I would expect him to be Reed Richards, not Mr. Fantastic, yet.
But I think they have to have him in the suit. Because most people might not realize...
That's true, and that's the downfall of what it is.
That's John Krasinski.
But the problem is that they haven't had that thing, because here's another one that I want to throw out in there that would be much easier to do, because his look is even more iconic. Who plays opposite the Fantastic Four? His name is 4 letters. Doom.
Oh.
Because they're from the made-up country in Europe.
Segovia.
Yeah. So they're...
Segovia.
Right.
And who's from Segovia?
I don't think he's from that one specifically, but he's from that area.
Right. Who's from Segovia?
For who?
Who's in the show is in from Segovia. The name is in the title of the show.
Yeah, Wanda.
Wanda.
Mm-hmm.
And in the comics, doesn't Wanda at some point team up with Dr. Doom?
I'm pretty sure they have some episodes and some comics
Yes,
together.
They do. Now, wouldn't that be a twist?
Yeah, you don't have a good twist. You have an evil twist.
Dr. Doom. I didn't think about that one. That would be big. That would
Because...
And if you want to set up the big bad of this phase, who better than Doom?
Who better?
Who can take down Wanda?
Doom.
Doom.
Doom can take down anyone.
That would be interesting. But how would they do that?
Well, it's real simple. All they have to do is show a green hood over a metal mask, and that's it. You don't even have to have an actor yet. Like, you don't. It would be the easiest one to do, and the best thing about Doom is that you have all these parallels and everything else that you can kind of go with.
The only problem with that is, for me, they cast the wrong actor for a role. Mads Mikkelsen would have been the perfect Doctor Doom.
Yes, very true.
Even though they wasted him in Doctor Strange.
Here's the good thing about it is that if he's behind a mask, they can just use his voice.
Yeah, it's true. But
Or the better thing is that, just think about it, they could do a Darth Vader. If he's behind the mask, you can have stunt actor man be Doctor Doom, but then get the voice of whoever you want. There's so many good voices. I mean, Ultron.
James Vader?
Yeah, they got him for the voice and for the presence that just his voice alone can do. They didn't hire him to go, be Action Man. They hired him for just the power of his voice.
True.
So
True.
They could do the exact same thing. I'm not saying go find James Earl Jones and say, hey, you want to come join this project? But, they could go out.
Javier Bardem would be another good one.
Right. And someone that you've either already used and they can just put on a different voice, or someone that you might want to use as a different thing that can just do a voice for whatever.
But let me ask though, do you think Marvel would already play that hand right after Thanos? Dr. Doom is a huge villain.
Well, they've screwed him up every single time that they've tried to do it, other than in the comics. So
that's my point.
Might as well start him small and build him up, like a Loki. You started Loki small, and then you built him up to the big bad of the first Avengers. Thanos was behind him.
I would almost, and I've heard this before, if you wanted to end the show to kind of give you the bigger scope of the next phase, almost like they did in the Avengers by the end, when you saw Thanos in the post-credit scene, and he just looked at the camera and smiled, I remember that, and you were like, who is that? Who's the purple guy? I don't know who he is. And but then there were those people that were like, that's the Mad Titan. That's Thanos. That, and everyone was like, oh boy. So imagine, instead of Doctor Doom showing up in Westview, which I don't know why he would go to Westview, nothing other than to get Wanda for powers or whatever. Imagine they cut away from Westview. Or wait a minute, better yet, Wanda goes back home to Sokovia.
There just happens to be a castle.
She goes there. And maybe by the end of the season, she's finally done with her trauma. She's trying to start over. And the best way to do that is to start back home at the beginning, where it all began. She goes home thinking it's going to be all ruined, all destroyed by Ultron. And she realizes this land, this island, this rock, this hungry land is flourishing. People are happy. People are living their lives. I want to move back home. What am I doing in America? Damn Americans. What have they done right? What are we still doing right? I don't know. I'm going to go back home. And then someone says, she goes up to some random stranger, like, what's going on here? And she says, oh, Victor. Oh, Victor. Where's Victor? Victor up there in the castle. She goes into the castle and sitting on a throne, a giant throne, is Doctor Doom in the entire outfit. And she just looks up, and there he is. Cut.
Yeah.
That would be like, whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. That would shake everybody. That would be like, instead of showing that in a movie, you gotta watch our show.
And that's the reason why I say something like a Doctor Doom coming up in something like this could be the big thing. If you put in a big character, but not in, like, he's not like the big bad who's manipulating Wanda or something like that, but you have him, you teased him at the end. Just like how they, like, Luke Skywalker wasn't teased in The Mandalorian. I mean, they kind of did. They said, you got to reach out to the Jedi. But if you listen to people who are talking about this, they were saying, oh, we wish it was Luke, but but it's probably not going to be Luke. It's probably going to be, 3 other Jedis who are still alive. You saw all those articles getting floated around. The Jedi who could answer the call from Grogu and all that stuff. So, and then Luke was always there. It's like, well, it could be Luke, but, Mark Hamill's old. So, that was basically the entire reason for that. So,
and then people said, oh, yeah, the aging.
Yeah, and we were just like, oh, yeah, that bad CGI that we should have...
Now we've seen it in every other Marvel movie.
Right.
Where did that go?
Yeah. But, I think doing something like this would actually get me much more into what would happen next. Because right now, as I was saying earlier, everything is just bringing me down. Like, that's the big thing. You're bringing me down, Smalls. You're bringing me down. Like, I want something to actually be excited for. And, they're only showing me glimpses of something to be excited for and not enough.
Sokovia, the land I call my home. Sokovia, wait. Sorry. That was Genovia. Wrong Disney movie. Thinking the Princess Diaries for a minute. Totally wrong movie. But still in the same umbrella of Disney. That would even be even more of a twist. We're going to Genovia. We got Anne Hathaway. We're good.
Oh, God.
The new Storm. You think I always wanted another Catwoman movie? I didn't get it. So, that is our Wanda review up to the midpoint so far. We still have about, I think, 4 episodes. I think there's 9. Some say 9, some say 10. We'll see. But for now, That's our thoughts. I like it. Zack doesn't. Maybe Doctor Doom will change that around. Maybe not. We'll see in another... We'll come back in about the season finale and see how it all wraps up. And what it means for Spider-Man 3 and Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
Which I'm much more excited about than WandaVision. So, it's the spark has to be somewhere. So, if the flame is better than the spark, I'm okay with it. And always remember to like, comment, subscribe wherever you are. The podcast is available wherever you want to get your podcast. If we are not there, let us know, and we will get there. Remember to like our Facebook page, Attack Bat Productions. Thanks for listening, everyone.